Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching KETK Plus. I'm your host, Tristen VanBeem, and for today, we will be reviewing New Year's Eve safety. Now, I know that some of my East Texas viewers love to go out and celebrate holidays like this, and I don't want to bring down the mood, but as a community, we still need to be responsible and try to keep each other safe going into the new year. You don't want to start 2026 off on the wrong foot. And I am also joined by Texas Department of Public Safety Sergeant Adam Albritton, who is here in the studio today to answer some questions regarding the holiday. Adam, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, Tristan. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. And now I know that you mainly oversee the Tyler area. So can you start us off by describing what a typical New Year's Eve looks like for you and for the department? What do you and your fellow officers often deal with on these nights?
Yeah, the holidays always bring out good celebrations for bringing in the new year, but unfortunately, sometimes those celebrations can get out of hand. And as far as people drinking too much alcohol at a party, which there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol to celebrate the new year, but we want to make good decisions as far as not getting behind the wheel of a car, after doing so. So a lot of those problems, as far as drunk driving, people die from crashes from drunk driving, and that's kind of what the Department of Public Safety wants to prevent.
All right, and now, as you just mentioned, there are a few key elements to New Year's Eve celebrations, which usually include the countdown, sometimes confetti, or even like silly hats and glasses. But the aspect of celebration that I want to focus on that you just mentioned is the drinking part. I know most people will have a glass of champagne ready to go once the clock strikes midnight, and sometimes one glass of champagne, often turns into two, then three, and then just so on and so on. So, what are some tips that can help people avoid driving while intoxicated?
Yeah, everyone knows their own limits, and what when you've had too much. If not, there's other ways of. They actually make little gadgets that will help you, know your blood alcohol content and or breath alcohol content, and you can invest in one of those to kind of be sure. But you kind of know when you've had too much to drink, and that's when and you can also rely on family and friends to tell you too. Hey, you've had too much to drink. We're going to take your keys from you, or prevent you from driving. That just needs to be a conscious effort before you go out and do these type of things. It's being prepared for these type of situations. It's going to help keep people safe.
Does DPS in our area often see a large number of drunk drivers on the night of New Year's Eve, especially if it's in like the middle of a week, kind of like we're going to see this year?
Yeah, there always is an uptick during the holiday seasons. We definitely want to make sure that we're being prepared and making those good decisions for sure, because there always is kind of more opportunities for drunk driving to be during the holiday season.
All right, and now that we've kind of covered the drunk driving aspect of it, recently here at KTK, we've covered stories about local fireworks stands that are opening up on Wednesday. And even though some East Texas cities don't actually allow people to set off fireworks within city limits, do you still see plenty of people lighting off these fireworks? And does DPS make a lot of arrests on New Year's for those not following those laws?
Yeah, fireworks are, when you're working with fireworks or, using fireworks, that can be a dangerous situation. I've seen many instances where, people use them incorrectly or and not in a safe manner, and people can get hurt, seriously hurt, or killed using those. We don't make too many arrests as Department of Public Safety troopers, but we do want to, inform the public to make sure that you are using them in a safe manner, because people can get hurt when you're using those type of things. The other thing too is that usually the time of night we're using those is in the middle of the night, and people's pets and things like that can get spooked from the loud noises, and people a lot of times mistaken the fireworks for gunshots, and people get scared of that, thinking that people are shooting guns, and in some cases people do shoot guns, and which is not allowed. But we need to know our city ordinances and local state laws before we do so.
Now, I love that you brought up the aspect of people's pets and dogs, and also um, just about people getting confused with gunshots. I honestly didn't really think about that when I was preparing this. So I just want to ask you: do you guys get a lot of calls from people who like suspect that they hear gunshots and it just turns out to be fireworks? Is that a common thing during this time of year? Or
Yeah, like I said, there is a lot of calls, and the sheriff's office here in Smith County respond to a lot of those fireworks calls as well, and we'll assist them when we can. But we want to remind people too that this is the time of year people do use fireworks a lot. So although we don't want to just think that it is fireworks every time, but we want to just remind people that if they are using fireworks to keep that in mind as well.
okay, and then for those who plan to light off fireworks in a place where it is legal, I want to preface that where it is legal, how
Mhm.
can they safely set off these fireworks without injuring themselves or others in the process of lighting off those fireworks?
Yeah, there's directions on each of the fireworks that tell you, how long the fuse lasts, and to be in an open area, you always want to have safety precautions like a water hose nearby, or a bucket of water that you can put the used fireworks in. Some sort of water hose with a spray that you can, in case there is a fire to the grass or something like that. Watering the area around where you're going to use the firework before you start using them is a good thing to do as well.
All right, and one thing that we've been talking a lot about over here at KTK is that we are in a dry season and a cold season as well. So does DPS see a lot of fires caused by fireworks at this time of New Year's since we are seeing that kind of drier weather?
Yeah, I mean, with the dry weather and the dry grass, of course, that can cause a fire. I'm not sure on the statistics on that, as far as if there is an uptick in those, but that certainly could happen for sure.
All right, and then I also want to cover the topic of traffic. Now, I know that New Year's Eve is on a Wednesday night going into a Thursday morning, which isn't exactly, your typical weekend, but I'm sure that a lot of people will still be out celebrating before and after midnight. So, can we expect an uptick in traffic during the early hours of the new year? Because I know there are some people out there who go into work as early as like 1 or maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. So, will they be affected by this traffic and all those that are on the road?
Yeah, we definitely want to be aware of that. With the New Year's hours, closer to midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. We want to be mindful if you are out on the roadways that there are people that have been celebrating using alcohol, and that we want to try to minimize the traffic for sure. And even still, if you're not celebrating using alcohol. There's just a lot more people out on the roadways just because people may be visiting family or going to different homes and different things to celebrate the new year. So there is going to be, a lot more traffic on the roadway during those prime time hours.
And then one thing that we talked a little bit about right before we started this interview is we talked about some road rage that could happen, especially during the holidays. So do you often see a lot of cases of road rage around the holidays like New Year's? And what does that look like? Are the people getting out of their cars fighting? What kind of scenes have you experienced in your time at DPS?
Yeah, unfortunately, the Christmas holidays and the New Year holidays is supposed to be a joyous time, and that's kind of what we're supposed to be focusing on during that time. But unfortunately, with maybe the more travel, the more cars on the roadway, that people are being impatient. Sometimes it can get a little out of hand out on the roads, and I want to, and the Department of Public Safety wants to urge people to not engage in that type of activity on either side. If maybe you were the one that was causing that at first, but also if someone is being kind of angry toward you on the roadway, you don't want to engage with that person because it could turn into a dangerous situation for sure.
All right, and is there a lasting message that you would like to share with the people of East Texas about just celebrating New Year's Eve in general and how they can stay safe out there?
Yeah, the Department of Public Safety wants people to celebrate New Year, and it is a good time and a good accomplishment for everyone to enjoy the new year and set good New Year's resolutions for themselves. But we want everyone to do it in a safe manner, not only for themselves but for everyone else.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sergeant Adam Albritton, for coming onto the show and sharing all those safety tips for us. I really appreciate your time, and happy holidays, and enjoy your New Year's.
Yeah, thank you. You too.